Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is Claude, A.K.A. the Black Negotiator. I'm very excited to celebrate Kwanzaa with all of you. So Kwanzaa, for those who don't know, was created during the aftermath of the Watts riots in the US. And the thing I really like about it is elevating the best of people after something terrible happened. So that's why this year they decided to celebrate this African-American moment to wrap up 2020. We can all agree that 2020 has been a challenging year. So over a period of 7 days, I decided to interview 7 very special guests that I know, and each of them will be interviewed around one of the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. And today, I'm super excited to have Kemo, whose theme is Ujima, the collective work and responsibility, which is about maintaining and building our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and to solve them together. So Kemo, I want to welcome you. Thank you again. And if you could just give us a quick introduction of who you are, where you're from, how you're doing, and also your definition of collective work and responsibility.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm actually honored to be one of those 7 special people. Yeah, my name is Kemo Camara. I am the founder of OMEK, which we'll hopefully we'll talk about a little bit. So OMEK is a platform, or now I'm using the new term compound, like a compound, like a space where we want to make connection extremely simple for professional of African descent, but specifically bicultural of African descent, right? A platform that's dedicated also to the professional and social advancement. And I'm originally from Guinea, grew up in the States, and now I'm living in Amsterdam and, just working hard to put this platform together. And so you ask, what is my definition of, is it Ujima?
Ujima, yeah.
And so basically, I was thinking about this. For me, it has always been part of my life. And so I basically define that concept as the ability for us of being a human. Because as a human, we are social creature. And as a social creature, we are designed by nature to be with each other, to support each other, and then to function collectively.
Nice. Hey, a cheeky question.
Yes.
How come not more people are doing that? Because for you it's natural, for you it's just common sense, but clearly we know that not everybody thinks like that. What's your view on that? How come?
That's a good question. I think for me, my view on that is this. I was raised in the compound where easily at the peak we'll have a 40, 50 to 60 people living in the same space at the same time. My whole life was spent, at least my childhood into I was 20 before I left to the US, right? It was in that kind of space. So that's all I knew. I saw my parents doing that. So when you come in that space, there's like all this age level, all this different generation, right? But everybody was there. Everybody has the role to play. And my parents were always bringing the community together. So I always saw that community building, people supporting each other, having this support system. But at the same time, there was this sense of responsibility that everyone has, whether you're a kid, right? So that was my upbringing. That's the experience that I knew. And so when I moved to the US, and then now I left this nest, right? I left this support system that I knew my whole life. I went to the US, which is focused more on the individualistic mindset and society. So even when I was there, I by subconsciously find myself progressing in the corporate world, as advancing in my career, but I will always leverage the knowledge that I had in that space to come back and try to build the community. And it's still to this day, like I always, when I see professional of African descent, when I see other African professional, I'm like, man, like imagine if we had 2 or 3 to come together, what we can do. Imagine if we like a 4 or 5 were to come together, how much more can we do? How many other people can we open the door? So that is always been my lens. So I would think initially it's maybe where your upbringing, if that's all you see and that's what you grew up in, your environment make who you are. And if you don't see that, then it doesn't become natural for you.
For sure, for sure. And that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to have you on this 7 days journey, 7 days celebration, is because you're actually doing something that I've been thinking about doing for a long time, but I never pulled the trigger. And it's very similar to you. I saw the benefits of people being together and supporting each other. And I always had this idea in the back of my mind of like, hey, how do we take that to the next level? But I think I was just being too scared and too comfortable in my little bubble to pull the trigger. And when I was like, playing with that idea in my head for months or if not years, then I have you reaching out and like, hey, I'm doing this and we're doing that and we're approaching like that. I'm like, wow, he's actually doing it. So I'm super happy that you're doing it. I think we're already seeing the value and the connections being created through that, and that's what I think you're one of the best to talk about this topic right now today with us.
Thank you
Cool.
for thank yeah, thank you for saying that.
What what do you think when we just say let's talk about race nowadays with a 2020 that has been charged with a lot? I don't even know what to say, but just a lot. What's your feeling when it's time to talk about race?
My feeling is like, of why are we doing it? Like, why aren't we doing it? What is the problem? You know what I'm saying? And I think as a human, maybe some people, like, I know for a fact, like as a human, I didn't create myself. I had no, you know what I'm saying? Depending what side of the spectrum, like whether you believe, like you believe it or not, but like it doesn't matter what belief you have, system you have, or non-belief or lack of it. We didn't create ourselves. Like we're created we are created by like for those who believe, like created by God, right?
Yeah.
And then for that, like the fact that you are black and someone else is white and someone else is like brown or whatever, like there's a diversity of a color of our skin wasn't designed by us. We just came in and find ourselves this. And so that is the beauty of being that diversity, that complexity is the beauty of being a human being. And so why wouldn't we talk about that?
Anything that you've seen recently around that, the collective and helping each other, supporting each other with problems and making them their our own, anything that you've seen recently on that topic that really inspired you?
Yes, I think like the biggest thing that happened in 2020 is like that the movement, right? The movement, the post, unfortunately, but the post George Floyd Black Lives Matter movement that happened. The fact that the concept, because I to be honest, I've never thought like I would see this happening in my lifetime. And then I'm like still young relatively, and so that's sad to have even thought about that. But like the fact that we saw people come from all background, all races, all like young, like white, black, brown, like it doesn't matter. Like it just came out of the streets. Like this is my problem. I get it. I've been blind to this and I'm not doing it anymore. Like we're on the street together. And that's what that created so many changes in such a short period of time that people have been fighting for like years and years. And then like it would, someone like myself who's in this space trying to like contribute in my own way, right? And then it's like even doing that, so like, man, I don't know how this is gonna move. And
Yeah.
so I think that was the perfect representation of like this concept. Like when we come together and then look at each other's problem as our own problem and wanted to solve it together, it gets solved in 1 second. And if we try to do it individually, it gets solved in 100 years. That is the gap.
Again, keep thinking about this concept. Any advice you would give to your younger self in hindsight for the journey, and anything that could have been done differently for collective work and responsibility?
Yeah, I think it would be, I used to see my parents do this and I make fun of them. It's like, what are you guys doing? I didn't appreciate it like as much. And so now thinking about it, I would have been, this is how you change your society. This is how you make the biggest impact in the society. So if you can learn it and master it and then refine it and then create the best and the most effective way to replicate it, you will have a bigger impact in the world. And like that's what I was done, and that's what I make sure, like, I perhaps not even go to school, but that make that quest my education. I think that's what because I saw my parents, they were doing it the right authentic way, and but like a non-structured, just an organic way, just a natural way. So like I was raised, it's part of my DNA, and then I would tell them like, just learn that this is the way, this is your key to creating the biggest impact in the society. Yeah, I would not have even gone to the university. Forget it. This would have been my university.
I believe that your cultural background impacts how you negotiate, but also impacts how people influence you. What do you think? And have you experienced that in the past?
Yeah, your cultural background definitely can, if you're not trained, a negotiator, naturally, you will, even if you're trained, you still will like always use that, because I think unless you completely assimilate, which I hope not for anyone in this society, like that will always influence like how you negotiate. I'll give you a simple example. If you grew up in like in the African society, which has like a totally different tradition, totally different culture of having a conversation with people like elders and then stuff, that it comes with all that package. How do you talk to someone compared to like a Dutch person? Whereas here it's like direct, and it's like the more you are that way, the better. And it's like, and so it's like totally two different cultural background upbringing. And so when you're both in the negotiation room, you come in with like a different mindset, and then they come in with a different. So that's if you don't know that before getting into the conversation, into the negotiation, the Dutch person coming straight to the point and being as direct, as brutal as possible, and then you coming from like that collective like different background, you probably won't take it right, and it won't go well. So that's like that obvious part. And I think like, yeah, just yeah, from my perspective, yes, it does play. And so like now, if you learn and then take like the fundamental, the principle, the effective way to do it, and then it can better inform, like your cultural background can better inform there's all the skill that you learn like every time, like to become even a better negotiator. And then that's the same thing with the Dutch person too. Like once they know the cultural background and then have like all the skill and tools and resources to have an effective negotiation, then they both become better.
And better results. Makes sense. Yeah. And what's the best negotiation advice that you have ever received?
If you win, you lose. Yeah.
Come on, tell us
I remember
more.
taking this training class when I was working at my last company I was working. They brought in this negotiator, good expert negotiator that used to work for FBI and then whatever. And so they had to break, because usually if you work for a bigger company and then you always have an upper hand, and with like dealing with like a small company, and you tend to like squeeze every penny out of them. And so that's the mindset. So they have to like get that out of the people and be like, the fact that you have that power and then squeezing them, they may do, because they need the money. They may do the work for you, but they're only going to do the work for you. They're going to barely give you what need to be done to get there. They won't go beyond. They won't go above and beyond that. They won't give you any innovation. They won't, you know what I'm saying? Because they're just doing it, they're not happy. But think about it, flip the switch. Like when you negotiate with them, and then it's just like a 50-50. You're losing something, they're losing something, you both win. So like, think about the concept of a win-win.
Yeah.
They will not only deliver what you want, but they will over deliver it. They will be happy being part because they know you got their back. So that anytime there's a new innovation, anytime there's a new problem, anytime they will just always be your advocate. And so the partnership will be totally different. So you're winning even more, right? By now winning. And so, yeah, that was the concept. So basically, like, because the thing was, it was operational. It was like, you come in there, you just want to win. You want to, yeah, man, I saved this X amount and they screw, that's the problem. Like, but now, like, they're like, yeah, if you win that way, then you lose because, you know, all the things that you could be winning, you losing all that. So yeah, that was like, I was like, that's so true. And that's almost a part of life, right?
That's very true, especially if you don't understand the concept of long-term value. Kemo,
Nice.
Thanks again to come on this very experimental video interview around Kwanzaa and Ujima collective work and responsibility to build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters problems our problems and to solve them together. I think again with OMEK, you are building an amazing platform to help achieve exactly that and even a lot more. So it's a pleasure to have interviewed you at the beginning of your journey. And I hope we can do that again in 10 years when you guys have taken over the world.
Yes, let's do it. I like
Thanks
that. Say that again. Let's manifest that to the world. That's how things happen. Let's manifest it. Yeah.
And you know it's going to happen. You know it's going to happen. It's a question of time.
The train already left the station, so it's too late to back up.
Yeah, it's just how fast. So we'll push that train. We'll fuel that train.
Yeah.